creature like that, how would it ever die?
And this monster starts running right at me.
Annihilated by nuclear bombs.
Beast is not dead. I put 4 bullets into him.
Oh, you're crazy.
But I saw that monster too. All I want is for someone to believe me.
Contaminated.
Face. Horrible. Looked like it would scare you to death.
All right, let's get to work.
Welcome, everybody. Welcome to Beyond the Shadows podcast. Hello, welcome. Hello, everyone. Welcome in. My name is Victus, and this is Season 2, Episode 37 of Beyond the Shadows podcast, where each week we dive into the paranormal, the strange, the odd, the spooky, the weird, the strange. And we do our best to discern fact from fiction. And this week we are covering the great topic of vampires. That's right. We are covering vampires. There's a lot to cover tonight. We have so much. We usually have like 18 pages of script, and we have somewhere close to 40 tonight. It's really hard to cut through the fat of it and just give you the bare bones. Because I didn't want to just, hit the broad strokes. We're going to do an investigation. We're going to cover everything. We're going to cover it all. That's what we do. I'm trying to get myself hyped up here. Got a fresh beverage, a little whiskey here. Trying to get our juices flowing. Let's see. What do we have? First things first, let's check our Gmail. Awesome. No emails. No new subscribers. That's the way it goes sometimes. It's good. It's all good. Welcome in. Let's see. What's first? Oh, first is news. We got news. We got some news today. And let's dive right into this week's news and paranormal. Easy peasy. We're going to skip over the Annabelle doll stuff because it's just been happening over and over again. Let's see. New Pentagon video. The All-Domain Anomaly Research Office, AARO, released video on September 23rd of an unidentified anomalous phenomenon, UAP, that was spotted over Europe in 2022. Unresolved cases. While AARO has solved many UFO mysteries, it states that the UAP in the video remains unidentified. This is one of the several unresolved cases currently under investigation. AARO uses a scientific framework to investigate reported UAP sightings and has found no evidence of extraterrestrial technology. In Ghosts and Hauntings, we have the National Ghost Hunting Day. Saturday, September 27, which just passed. Wait, what's the date today? Yes, that was yesterday. Marks National Ghost Hunting Day, an annual international investigation of the paranormal. So we are a day late. Sorry. Some celebrity ghost stories. During an interview with Entertainment Weekly this week, actor Jared Padalecki and Jensen Ackles recalled a creepy moment from the set of the show Supernatural. A YouTube video titled, quote, "So haunted nobody goes to the basement, shocking," was uploaded on September 26th and documents a real ghost hunt, and it's gaining traction. Lots of people are checking that out. The Bigfoot Field Researchers Organization, BFRO, website shows recent sightings listed from September of this year. This includes a detailed report from a hiking trip in Idaho on September 19, in which the witnesses observed a very large human-like bear footprint. That's bear without anything on it, not B-E-A-R, but B-A-R-E. And finally, we have a military sighting report. A Reddit post from December 2023 describes a military encounter with a large growling creature and footprints, an experience that caused the witnesses to become a believer in Bigfoot. And that's from 2023, but it's just coming to light today. And that is our news in paranormal this week. And that being said, we're going to move on to our next segment. We're going to give it a few more seconds and this audio clip to end. That's right. That is our week in paranormal news. What's next? We have... Oh, we need to know. We've got to know. It's very important that you know. But what shirt are you wearing today? Now for our tiny segment called What Shirt Are You Wearing Today? Where we look at what weird shirt I'm wearing today. As of this afternoon, the t-shirt pile has turned over, so we're about to start seeing shirts from season 1 to come back. Anywho, check it out. I got a new one. This might be our last new one for a little while. Oh, no, wait, we have a new one next week. Yeah, because I already got it. Check it out. Where the wild things are. Big fan of the book. That was one of my favorites growing up. Loved that book. They don't quite make books like that anymore. It makes me a little sad. It does, but you know, times change. I will say the company that makes those children's books with gold on the edge, you know what I'm talking about? They have released paranormal themed books. Let me see if I can find some pictures. Oh, come on. Oh, come on. Any other time I can find it. First and foremost, my favorite right now is there's X-Files. We've got Aliens. It's A for Aliens. Jeez, we have so many. There's like 15, 20 of them that they released. They're out at Walmart. They're only like $5 a piece. But they're the original gold spine books. Check this out. They're the original gold spine books, just like you had growing up. This is telling my age here. But they are, yeah, a little golden book. That's what they're called. How cool is that, right? And this is not fake. This is not AI. I went to Walmart today and I saw it. I saw the whole shelf of them. I almost bought the X-Files one just to have, right? But I thought that was pretty cool. Tiny little things that make our days worthwhile, right? But we're going to dive right into it, folks. We're going to dive right into it. Without further ado, the most hated phrase in podcasting. Sorry. Without further delay, we're going to get into it. This is Season 2, Episode 37, Beyond the Shadows podcast, and tonight we are covering vampires. Are y'all ready? Because I'm ready. I am so ready. It was 2:17 a.m. when the call came in. A woman in rural Kentucky, terrified, whispering into the phone, told the 911 dispatcher that someone was outside her trailer, not trying to break in, but just standing there, watching, not moving, for hours. She said he looked pale, old, but not like an old man. like something that had been a man and stayed for too long. His coat was too clean for a place like this. His eyes glowed. The dispatcher asked her to describe him again. She hesitated. He's smiling at me. He hasn't blinked once. I don't think he's breathing. The line went dead. When deputies arrived 10 minutes later, the woman was gone. The front door was open, the porch soaked in blood. No signs of forced entry, no struggle, no footprints leading away. Only a perfect set of bare, human-like footprints leading in from the woods, facing the door, and stopping at the threshold. This isn't an isolated incident.
Ads. Bear with. I may have Twitch open on my PC for heffies, but I'm here on my phone in the bedroom. Okay, ads gone.
Ads gone. Welcome. I totally forgot to remind you. I'm sorry. I'm glad you're here. Welcome in. Welcome. However, this isn't an isolated incident. Stories like this go back centuries, across continents, across cultures. They change names, take on new faces, but always return to the same primal image. A thing that
All I looked over and was like, oh fuck Vic is streaming.
I'm glad you're here. I really am. I'm sorry. I totally forgot to remind you. Usually I'm spot on. My mic's a little hot tonight. Jeez. My sound effects are a little hot tonight, too. Yeesh. All right. They change names, take on new faces, but always return to the same primal image. A thing that looks human, but feeds on you when the lights go out. And tonight we're sinking our teeth into the ancient horror that won't stay buried. The vampire. Myth, murderer, or something else entirely. Let's get into it. Let's get into Act 1. It is not an invention of literature. It did not crawl out of Bram Stoker's imagination or leap fully formed from the shadows of Gothic fiction. The vampire has always been with us, in graves and whispers and the frantic eyes of villagers digging up the dead, before the capes and the candlelight, before Hollywood's blood-red lips and velvet-lined coffins. There was only one truth. Something fed on us in the dark, and we've been trying to name it ever since. Across cultures and continents, long before the vampire was ever called that name, people told stories of creatures that rose from the dead to torment the living. In ancient Mesopotamia, the I don't even know how to pronounce this. This is a bunch of weird letters put together. Ikamu, and the Yutuku were feared spirits, restless souls of the improperly buried. The Ikamu, in particular, was said to wander the earth, draining the life force from the living, especially those who had denied it burial. These beings were not romantic. They were described as howling wraiths, skeletal and foul. And in ancient Greece, there was the Lamia. It was cursed by Hera for sleeping with Zeus. Her children were slaughtered, and she was transformed into a grotesque predator. Lamia became a child eater, her legend mixing with other figures like the Empusa, a demonic seductress with a burning gaze and single brass leg and a thirst for human blood. They were not hidden in coffins. They came to your bed, wore human skin, and devoured you while you dreamed. In India, the Vitala was a corpse-possessing entity that lived in cemeteries and controlled the bodies of the dead, often feeding on travelers or using trickery to lure the living. In China, the Jianggashi, known as the hopping vampire, was a stiff, reanimated corpse that sucked the life force from the living, driven by improper death rituals or spiritual imbalance. In West Africa, there are tales of The Asasabansum, bat-like creatures with iron teeth that lived in trees and swooped down to suck blood. In the Caribbean, the Lugaroo is a woman who sheds her skin and becomes a floating ball of light, feeding on the blood of humans in the night. In the Philippines, the Managanangal, wow, I got that right in the first try, splits her body in half, leaving her lower torso behind, and flies through the night.
Vampires. Greater than, although I thought we were doing the Japanese one, but I'm down for this. B. Tupibra are also vampiric in nature.
Yes, I'm sorry. I had it written down somewhere. I thought I put it on my dry erase board. I don't know what happened. By the time I went to go do the research this weekend, I just completely forgot. I am sorry. What's the name of the one that you were talking about last week so I can get it right? It was the slit mouth woman, wasn't it? Now that you bring it up.
Kuchisaki Onna.
I'm writing it down. Okay, cool. It's down. We're going to do it next week, I promise. I'm not going to forget this time. It was a long weekend. I haven't had a day off in a couple weeks. Struggle Street.
LOL MP.
Struggle Street. Let's crack another one. I ain't feeling light enough on my feet yet. So in the Philippines, the Mama Ganangal splits her body in half, leaving her lower torso behind, and flies through the night to drink the blood of pregnant women with a long proboscis-like tongue. And of course, in Slavic Europe, there was the Strigio, weird local name. I'm not going to try to pronounce it again. Nosferatu and the Vricolakas. Vircolakas. Wait, I know this one. Vricolakas. Vricolakas. Wait, Vricolakas? Vricolakas? Draculas? Draculas? Wow. Yeah, I could see how the name changed. The revenants that rose from the grave to feast on loved ones, drink blood, and bring disease. For clarity, they did not sparkle. They did not seduce. They clawed themselves out of shallow graves, eyes open, stomachs bloated, and mouths red. They were you, but wrong. To understand the vampire, you have to understand what it meant to die in ancient and medieval world. There was no certainty, no science, no antiseptic transition from life to the afterlife. Death was dirty, messy, and terrifying. The body decayed in ways that seemed unnatural. Gases built up in the abdomen, causing it to swell. Fluids leaked, skin shrank, revealing teeth and nails, making corpses appear to grow sharper after death. But to the untrained eye, the dead looked like they were becoming something else. Combine that with the Black Death, famine, war, mass graves, and you get a perfect storm of trauma, fear, and folklore. Villagers noticed that when one person died, others soon followed. Illness spread like wildfire, but they didn't see viruses. They saw the return of the dead. The concept of the first dead became central in many of these panics. If a family member died and the others began to fall ill, it was believed that the deceased had become a vampire and was draining the life from their kin. The solution? Unearth the corpse, look for signs of unnatural preservation. If the body was found to be red-faced, bloated, or leaking blood, which it always was, it was staked, decapitated, or burned. Sometimes the heart was ripped out and fed to the remaining sick family members as a cure. And yes, they actually ate the hearts of suspected vampires. This wasn't just old world superstition. It followed immigrants across the Atlantic. In Exeter, Rhode Island in 1892, a 19-year-old girl named Mercy Brown died of tuberculosis. Her mother and sister already succumbed, But when Mercy's brother Edwin fell ill shortly after, locals convinced the family to exhume the bodies to look for signs of vampirism. They found Mercy's corpse had barely decayed because she'd been kept in an above-ground crypt during a cold winter. But that didn't matter. They removed her heart and liver, burned them, mixed the ashes into water, and made Edwin drink it. He died anyway. But this wasn't an isolated event, and over 30 documented cases of vampire exhumations occurred in New England in the 18th and 19th centuries. These weren't fringe maniacs, these were God-fearing Christian farmers, acting with the full support of their communities. Newspapers reported the incidents without irony. Clergy often blessed the rituals. The belief was real, the fear was real. The vampires were real enough. One of the most disturbing aspects of vampire legend is how it challenges religious authority. In Christian theology, resurrection is sacred. Christ's return from the dead is a divine miracle. But the vampire perverts resurrection. It is life without light, animation without a soul.
All right, fella.
Oh, lips here, everybody. Whoa, whoa, he's back. He's back. Welcome. Missed you, buddy. We missed you. We missed you.
Hi, Blip.
Glad you're here, buddy. I'm sure you've been busy. Glad to have you back. Changes abound. The whole office is being redone. And my corner was the first to get changes. Trying to
Oh, hello at Gummick Shark.
Trying to make changes, make it feel a little more natural in here. Work on lighting, work on bettering.
Lego skeleton head roll.
Yeah, there's a zombie one down there too, right underneath it, like right there behind the Lego Y-wing. Yeah, I actually have two of those. Yeah, I love them. I love my Lego stuff. I'm a Lego junkie.
Oh, I see it, haha.
And it's huge. It's like this big. It's the size of my head. You could almost wear it as a
I will
mask.
steal that fortune cap from you. Greater than Tilda greater than.
This is my candle that when I was losing Potato, this was my candle I burned after she left. And once the candle is completely gone, I'm going to set it out on her.
So cute. Or,
I'm gonna go set it out on her little headstone that I made for her.
okay, I won't steal.
Thank you. I'd like to think that this is my way of having, and this is my way of having her here, and then I've got a bunch of her old toys and stuff up here too, so she's always here with me. And I got Chicken's old food bowl back here. Because Chicken used to sit with me in my lap back when I streamed,
Yeah, understood.
and wanted to keep him nearby, doing what I can. Can't forget him. That was a piece of me I lost. Anywhoots. The Catholic Church struggled to categorize it. At times, vampires were seen as demonic puppets, corpses animated by unclean spirits. In other interpretations, they were sinners so wicked that even death rejected them. Some were said to have made pacts from the devil, others cursed by suicides, heresy, or improper burials. Improper burials, that seems to be a trend so far. I wonder how far that's going to go into the research about improper burial. And this led to widespread changes in burial practice. Ooh, excuse me. Coins over the eyes to keep them closed. Rocks in the mouth to prevent biting.
Me trying to avoid bringing up Skyrim lore LMAO.
Right? Yeah. It's funny that, this was, I couldn't quite remember what we talked about last week about what we wanted to do this week. So I was sitting at my...
Gads. I'll be back in a sec.
Okay. Well, we'll just ramble for just a minute. I was sitting at the dining room table eating dinner, and I'm like, I'm not crazy about the thing that I put together. So originally I was going to cover Injured Cold tonight. Very possibly going to do that next week if this doesn't turn into a two-parter. But I was sitting at the table and I was talking with my mother-in-law, and I was like, I need to do something that's like in depth, deep. And I'm sitting there looking at the episode list on YouTube, and I'm like, what can I do? What can I do? And I'm looking at it, going through all these cryptids in my head, and my mother-in-law's rambling off cryptids, and I'm like, why haven't I done vampires? Why hasn't that come up? I'm like, sure, yeah, that's a deep, deep subject, right? Yeah, we could do that. I think this very well may be a two-parter. It we usually have about 18 pages of script for a 2-hour episode, and tonight I have 35.
Folklore, but it's the dude from Jurassic Park, Jeff Goldblum, LMAO.
Brad Bellafleur. Oh, apartments.com.
Bellflower.
But wait, I know the commercial. Brad Bellflower.
Fucking ads. Okay, I'm back.
I'm glad you're back. Apartments.com. Wow. Yeah. Come on, apartments.com. Sponsor me. I'll run your ads. But yeah, I
didn't even get to hear your comment about Skyrim.
Oh, no, I was just rambling about how I was sitting at the table, and I was like, why haven't I done vampires? So I was able to pull up, instead of 18 for a 2-hour script, 18 pages for a 2-hour script, I managed to get 37 pages of script tonight, 38 pages. And this very well may be a two-parter. And honestly, y'all are going to shame me for this, but I've only played Skyrim like once or twice. Never played it all the way through. I know.
Hey, NP.
I've tried. It just, I don't know. Maybe it was too late in the game for me to go back and play it and really enjoy it. I'm sure if I was younger and I picked it up when I was younger, I probably would have really enjoyed it.
And I've started it over 1,000,000 times. I still stand by my theory that BEKs are fairy vampires LUL.
Ooh.
Vex.
Oh, yeah.
Follow us on streammoo.com.
Oh my gosh.
At 1junior03FG.
Jeez.
Go away, BOT.
I need an audio clip to yell at the bots.
Black-eyed kids.
Yeah, absolutely. Black-eyed children are, yeah. Yeah, we're going to, let me report this guy right quick.
Oh, I could see that.
Spam. Go. Spam. Bots. Go.
Vampires are diet cannibals, depending on the law.
Block this user. Goodbye. See you later, bot. You're out of here. But yeah, it's black-eyed kids. Yeah, we did talk about this way back in the black-eyed children episode. We do believe, I think we came to the agreement that black-eyed children are very likely fairy vampires. It only makes sense, right? They always wait outside a threshold. They can't come in unless you let them in. That's the big one. It's their crutch. They can't come into your house, and once you let them in,
Fairy vampires
you're done.
is an interesting idea.
Yeah, think about it. Go back and listen to, I think it was season 1 where we covered black-eyed children. Go back and check it out. We had a very long dialogue about it. Or maybe it was season 2. I don't remember. Maybe it was early season 2. I don't remember. It's been a minute. But yes. Absolutely agree. Absolutely agree.
I'll have to figure out how to view your old content yet.
Oh, it's on YouTube. It's all on YouTube. Let me see. Does this work? Does this command work?
If only I had Spotify, Nightbot.
Geez, I actually updated that before the show started. I don't know why.
Like what you're seeing, we have a YouTube channel. https://www.youtube.com/Beyond the Shadows podcast. Watch the backlog of older episodes.
There you go. I forgot to put the exclamation point in there. Sorry. And now my soundboard wants to restart. No. Literally been running for like 3 weeks, and now you want to restart. Always while I'm using it. Yeesh. But yeah, there you go. That's the link to the YouTube channel. All of the old episodes are there. Easy peasy. That's just the stream. I just download the stream and upload all of them to YouTube. And upload all of them to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and some other podcast platform. I'm not sure exactly which one it is, but off the beaten path, not quite. It's just like just a podcast platform. I couldn't tell you what it's called. They don't get any traction over there anyway. Any hoots and hollers. A vampire was not a ghost, not a demon, not a witch. It was a violation of the natural and spiritual order. The Catholic Church struggled to categorize it. At times, vampires were seen as demonic puppets, corpses animated by unclean spirits. In other interpretations, they were sinners so wicked that even death rejected them. Some of them were said to have had pacts with the devil, others cursed by suicide, heresy, or improper burials. This led to widespread changes in burial practices. Coins over the eyes to keep them closed, rocks in the mouth to prevent biting, bodies buried face down so they dig away from the surface, and nails driven into the corpse or stakes hammered through the heart. In some regions, corpses were decapitated and the heads placed between the feet or under the arm. Others were chained or had limbs severed, not as punishment, but as a precaution. Because in the dark silence of a graveyard, it wasn't enough to bury the dead. You had to make sure they stayed there. Now, it's funny that they bring up the burial practices. It was, I think, the first or second week that I did the news and paranormal at the beginning of the episode. Here on the eastern coast, we actually found a burial site, an unmarked grave, dating back to the time of, the time of the Salem witch trials, where this woman was buried. Her wrists and ankles were staked to her coffin, and she was buried with a brick in her mouth. And I'm pretty sure it said that that was the first known case of vampire burial in the United States, historically speaking. I could be wrong, but I do remember talking about it, and I do remember it being prominent in the news feed that I use. So, take that for what it's worth. It's just really interesting, the precautions that they took through burial, specifically for vampires. So by the 18th century, Enlightenment thinkers began to mock vampire panics. French philosophers dismissed the stories as a peasant hysteria. But even as science blossomed, vampire cases increased. In Serbia, the case of Peter Blagojevic in 1752 saw 10 deaths within 8 days of his burial. Eyewitnesses claimed that Blagojevic had returned, pale and angry, demanding blood. When his body was exhumed, it showed no signs of decomposition. No signs of decomposition. You never know what kind of competition you're going to get after you die. Apparently it didn't affect this guy, because he had decomposition. His body showed no signs of decomposition. And blood was found in the mouth. So they staked him through the heart to his coffin on the spot. And a year later, in 1726, Arnold Paoli, a soldier in Mediwenga, I don't know, someplace that I can't pronounce, claimed that he had been attacked by a vampire and had eaten dirt from the vampire's grave to break the curse. He later died in an accident, and when the villagers began dying again, his body was dug up again, well preserved and bloodied. They staked him, then exhumed several others said to have been infected, and 4 corpses were burned as a result. These cases were not reported in underground pamphlets, but in military documents of official Austrian medical reports. They were read and debated in universities. Entire theological treatises were written on how to best handle the undead. This wasn't myth here, this was policy. So already we're seeing such a panic that official medical reports are being drawn up and military documents are being written about how to handle the undead. It's a crazy jump, absolutely crazy jump. So I just want to bring this up because this is one of my favorite things. I love zombies. Zombies are the one thing that I'm just nuts about. I will read zombie books and watch zombie movies all day long. There is actually a United States measure for the, I don't know the name of the actual word that they use. They have a contingency plan written in case a zombie outbreak happens, which is to be expected. You know, I mean, Hollywood has really done a fantastic job of making the zombie apocalypse feel real. Furthermore, there is an official United States government measure in place for zombie chickens. Just zombie chickens. A whole plan of action. What to do in case chickens turn into zombies. I shit you not. I have read it, and it's a very, very long document. Very, very long document, like 3,700 pages. And they thought of everything. Absolutely everything. They have even gone back and started freezing.
LMAO chicken zombies.
It's serious. I am completely serious here. They've even...
The car www.KKHFHDJFJSJFJDJ.
They have even gone and frozen, like, pure, untainted chicken embryo. So if zombie chickens happen, we can wipe them out, and we'll be able to start over fresh with a fresh batch of chicken. It's wild. It's absolutely wild. This is what our tax dollars are going towards. So let's jump ahead a little bit. Let's move up to the 19th century now. We really need to cover zombies on this podcast. I think after we do your slit mouth woman next time, I think we may have to cover zombies. And it's going to be a 2-parter. I can tell you that already. I am fluid. I could almost wax poetic about zombies. Fluid in zombies. I'm just going to take a little sidebar. 2 seconds. So this is an actual book.
If this is a 2-parter, then it would be the Sunday after the second part finishes, right?
Correct. Absolutely correct. Yes. Sidebar. This is my last sidebar, and then we're going to move forward. Promise. This is an actual book. Actual book. The Zombie Survival Guide. I have it downstairs. I love this book. It is one of my very favorite books. I've read it so many times. So many times. It is not a book of fiction. It is a literal survival guide.
I've SEEJNTHAT book. C.
Let me tell you how serious I am about zombie stuff. Let me show you. You guys ready? Look at Look at my wrist. Oh, wait, here, I'll just do it this way. Look at my wrist. I got the machete and the rifle crossed on my wrist. It's one of my earliest tattoos on this whole left arm sleeve. I am very serious about this zombie stuff. Very serious. I am a zombie junkie. I hope you're not surprised. Pulled it straight from the cover of that book. Oh man, we need to do zombies now. Now I'm excited about zombies. I don't know why we haven't covered it. I don't. Anyways, let's move forward. We're moving up to the 19th century. So something shifted in the 19th century. The vampire moved from dirt-covered revenant to seductive predator. It became an aristocrat, a symbol, a creature of shadows who wore our sins like silk. And in 1819, John Polidori published The Vampire, with a Y, the first English vampire story featuring a cultured nobleman named Lord Ruthven. The tale was born out of the same stormy night that birthed Frankenstein, and Ruthven's character was modeled after poet Lord Byron, a man who was known for scandal, beauty, and emotional destruction. Lord Ruthven was cold, beautiful, deadly, and entirely human in appearance. But this template was perfected by Bram Stoker, as you know, in 1897, with the release of Dracula. Stoker blended folklore with historical references, especially the legend of Vlad the Impaler, the Romanian warlord notorious for his brutality. But Dracula was not a simple beast. He was intelligent, calculating, and sexual. Stoker's vampire had rules. He couldn't enter without permission.
Don't forget Bathory. She was on the lines of it in a sense.
Ooh, Elizabeth Bathory. Twisted woman. I wonder, let me see where I'm at. I'm gonna type a word here so I know where I'm at. I'm gonna search my entire script right quick. See if she's in here. No, she's not mentioned. Wow. Okay.
Ugh, add XD.
Ugh, stupid ads. Ads are the worst.
120.
Okay. We'll drink my beer and pull on my vape a little bit while we're waiting. How's it going, Blip? How you doing, buddy? Glad you're here. Hope you like the new background. I've worked very, very hard on this. I have not got rid of my gaming collection. It's all on the other wall now. If you look closely. This is my uranium glass collection. Actually, radioactive glass. I'm very happy with it. Very proud of my glass collection. And this right here. Oh, this is hard to do when you're mirrored. This right here is an actual bat skeleton. I broke it like 2 years ago, and it took me like a year to piece this thing back together.
I like the new setup.
Thank you. Very proud of this. I'm trying to get a more of a professional feel. I still got to work on this a little bit, but we got the important stuff up front. But yeah, Elizabeth Bathory, I don't know how that didn't make it into... I don't know how that didn't make it into the script. Let me pull up some basic factoids about Elizabeth Bathory.
I'm here.
Welcome back. We're going to pull up some basic factoids of Elizabeth Bathory. Countess Elizabeth Bathory was a Hungarian noblewoman and alleged serial killer from the powerful House Bathory, who owned land in the Kingdom of Hungary, now Slovakia. Bathory and her four of her servants were accused of torturing and killing hundreds of girls and women from 1590 to 1610. She and her servants were put on trial and convicted. The servants were executed, whereas Bathory was imprisoned within the castle until she died in her sleep in 1614. The charges leveled against Bathory have been described by several historians as a witch hunt. Other writers, such as Michael Farron in 1989, have said that the accusations against Bathory were supported by testimony of more than 300 individuals, oh my god, some of whom had described physical evidence to the presence of mutilated dead and dying imprisoned girls found at the time of her arrest. If I remember correctly, well, here we go. Legends describing her vampiric tendencies, such as the tale that she bathed in the blood of virgins to retain her youth, were based on rumors and only recorded as supposedly factual over a century after her death. Although these stories were repeated at least 3 historians in the 18th and 19th centuries, they are considered unreliable by modern historians. I disagree with your statements, Wikipedia. We're going to say that she was really a vampire. I love the idea that, I mean, I don't love it, but you know what I mean. I love the idea that she bathed in the blood of virgins. I mean, how could you know? Just scooping up ladies off the streets. You been with a man? No? Just hang her upside down over the bathtub. I feel like there was a movie. What was the movie? Oh, geez, it was like a video game or something?
Stay alive.
That's it. That's it. That was a good one. That was a good one. Yeah. That was a real good one. Wow, how did I remember that? That was an old one. I remember Cradle of Filth talking about her in one of her songs. Oh yeah, it was a game. Cool. 2006. Woof, that was a long time ago. Eesh, I'm getting old. Hee. Turned 40 this week. Thumbs down. All right, well, let's get back into what Bram Stoker had. He had rules set up for his vampires. So Stoker's vampires had rules. He couldn't enter without permission. He feared sunlight, garlic, and holy symbols. And he could transform, control the minds, travel in boxes of native soil. He was a predator in a new age, feeding on both blood and the modern psyche. But why did the vampire endure? Because it changed with us. It evolved with our fears. In the Middle Ages, it was a disease. In the Enlightenment, it was the corruption of the church. In the Victorian era, it was sex and repressed desire. In the 20th century, the vampire became a metaphor for addiction, isolation, capitalism, and even racial or sexual contagion. It reflected what we feared most about ourselves: loss of control, violation of the body, death without dignity, and eternal hunger. We gave it teeth, but we never took away its eyes. The vampire watches us even now. In cinema, it seduces. In subcultures, it thrives. And in secret corners of the internet, real-life, self-identified vampires form communities. And in old cemeteries, heartless corpses bear silent witness to a time when vampires were not fantasy, they were fact. But beneath all the symbolism and psychology, the vampire legend still holds its oldest truth. The dead don't always stay dead, and when they return, they're hungry. The ritual didn't survive because it was poetic. It survived because it worked, or because people believed it did. Every culture has its version, every generation has its fear, and every shadow still holds the possibility of something watching. Something that looks like us, but isn't. But not anymore. Which that brings us to the end of Act 1. Yeah, that's Act 1 of 5. And we are already at almost an hour deep. Jeez. We might run a little long, or we might just pull a two-parter. I don't know. We'll see what happens. See how everything's feeling. So Act 1, let's break it down. We covered the broad strokes. What spawned the idea of vampires, why it endures. We talked, I'm really surprised that I can't believe I let Elizabeth Bathory slip my mind. Twisted little lady. I'm going to say that she was probably really a vampire. Then again, like, You put somebody with a mental disorder in power. I mean, look at America, right? You put
Roll,
some...
cough, cough.
Yeah, right? Don't laugh too loud. You'll be the next one to get shot. Yeah. I am not political by any means. However, I've seen the frame-by-frame footage of what's-his-face being shot, and I'm not so sure he was shot. All I'm going to say is, I'm going to talk about this for 2 seconds, and I'm going to go. If you watch his video, frame by frame, he has a lavalier mic on his right side. Wait, so he's facing... Yeah, so it's on his right side. One frame, he's talking. The next frame, the mic is gone. The next frame, his shirt comes up. 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 And then he's blue. Stuff comes out. If you're being sniped from a distance...
A mortician did say that it was a depth shot. Still, it wouldn't be surprising with the fake ear shot. Parker Reed was terrified, though.
So there's... If you're being sniped, the sniper's going to be up high at a distance. There is no trajectory that will make your shirt rise before your stuff comes out of the side of your head. That's all I'm going to say. Watch the reactions of the crowd afterward. There's some weird stuff going on there. Some people doing things that don't make sense. So as soon as he's shot and dropped, 2 people jump over the table. One guy grabs something next to him on his left side. One guy grabs something on the ground on his right side. You see them put it in their pockets. And then they book out the back. Sorry.
I'll hit you up more about it later.
Yeah, let's not get too political here. But yeah, conspiracy theories are my thing, and it's just a little too convenient. How do you really drive a point home? You have a martyr. I like to think that he's probably sitting on an island all by himself right now with his feet propped up. That man's not dead. Anywhoots, that's the end of Act 1. Act 1. So in Act 2, we're going to cover the real-world vampire panics. Not the myth-related stuff, but the things that physically impacted society. But we're going to do a deep dive. We're going all the way back. For starters, we're going all the way back to 1752. Or 1725, excuse me. We're going to do a deep dive. I hope y'all are ready for this, because this is Act 2. The vampire myth is not just a story. It's a history, a pattern, a map of fear written in blood and superstition. For centuries, entire towns and villages truly believed that the dead could rise, not as ghosts or spirits, but as physical bodies animated by hunger. And they didn't wait for science. They didn't ask for evidence. They dug up their dead and fought them. Which brings us to our first real-world panic. The Siberian vampire epidemic, 1725 to 1732. The first documented vampire epidemic in Europe broke out in... these crazy sounded names. Kiselevo. Something like that. A small Siberian village under Austrian rule. And in 1725, we're back to Peter Blagiovec, died suddenly. Within 8 days, 9 more people died in the village. Each reportedly healthy until days before their deaths. On their deathbeds, several claimed Blagiovec had visited them at night, sat on their chest, and choked them. Others said he asked for food or blood. But when locals demanded the exhumation of his body, they found his body unusually well preserved. His nails and hair had grown. His mouth was covered in fresh blood. And according to Austrian officials sent to observe, the villagers immediately drove a stake through his heart whereupon fresh blood flowed copiously from his ears and mouth. He was then burned. The event was reported in the Vienna Gazette, making it one of the earliest documented cases in modern European history. But it didn't stop there. In 1726, in a nearby town of Meduenga, another man, Arnold Paoli, claimed he had been attacked by a vampire while serving in Greece. To cure himself, he said he ate the dirt from the vampire's grave and smeared himself with his blood. Soon after returning home, he died in a fall. Weeks later, people began dying. Villagers claimed to see Arnold wandering near his grave. His body was exhumed, and according to official military accounts, it was, quote, incorrupt. Blood was found in the mouth. The limbs were unusually flexible. A stake was driven into his heart, followed by ritual burning. In the following weeks, 17 more villagers died. Their corpses were also disinterred, examined, and destroyed. Doctors, priests, military officials all took part. These weren't just tales being told by peasants in secrecy. These were state-sanctioned vampire hunts witnessed and recorded by representatives on the Habsburg Empire. It became a crisis of such scale that the Empress Maria Theresa herself ordered an investigation and eventually banned the practice of exhumations. Though not because she thought it was superstition, she feared it would spread panic. So next up is in 1892, the Mercy Brown case. More than a century later, in an ocean away, the same fear would return. This time in Exeter, Rhode Island, in the winter of 1892, the Brown family was struck by tuberculosis, then known as consumption. George Brown lost his wife and then one daughter. Another daughter, Mercy Leanna Brown, died shortly afterward at the age of 19. When George's son, Edwin, fell ill soon after, the neighbors began whispering, "One of the dead is feeding on the living." A group of townspeople, aided by a local doctor, convinced George to exhume the bodies of his family. His wife and first daughter were skeletal, but Mercy, who had been kept in a cold crypt, was unusually well preserved. Her cheeks were still red. Her heart and liver still held blood. The villagers believed she was the culprit. They removed her heart, her liver, burned them to ash, mixed the ashes into a tonic, and Edwin drank it. He died 2 months later. The story became national news. Journalists dubbed her the New England vampire. Even Bram Stoker was reportedly inspired by the case while finalizing Dracula. To this day, Mercy Brown's gravesite is vandalized and visited by tourists, occultists, and vampire enthusiasts. But the story is no fiction. The official death records, news clippings, and grave exhumation notes remain. America had a vampire panic less than 150 years ago. But that's not all. Mercy Brown was not an isolated case, so between 1799 and 1892, at least 30 documented vampire exhibitions occurred in New England. Most involved tuberculosis outbreaks. People didn't understand germ theory. All they saw was healthy families torn apart in sequence, one by one. They didn't blame bacteria, they blamed the dead. And they acted accordingly. In Jewett City, Connecticut, the Ray family buried multiple members over a few years, and when another died, the remaining family unearthed the previous bodies and burned them to prevent further deaths. In Woodstock, Vermont, the Corwin family disinterred the body of their daughter Rachel and burned her heart and liver on a blacksmith's forge. These people weren't insane, they were desperate. In the rare cases, the fear of vampires has led not to just the desecration of the dead, but to the murder of the living. In 2004, in Romania, villagers exhumed the body of Peter Toma, a man who had died in 2003 after several family members reported night visitations and mysterious illnesses. They dug him up, removed his heart, burned it, mixed the ashes into water, and made the niece drink the potion. The authorities charged 6 men with grave robbing. No remorse was expressed, and one villager told reporters, "We were right. After we burned the heart, the nightmares stopped." In South Africa in 2012, a 14-year-old boy named... I am not going to try to pronounce this name. It's got more freaking vowels than the alphabet. Oh my god. This guy with the first initial K was murdered by villagers who believed he was a vampire. They stoned him, burned his body. Witnesses claimed that he had been draining children's blood and flying at night. In Malawi, periodic panics erupted over rumors of bloodsuckers in 2017. At least 6 people were lynched by mobs believed they were vampires in disguise. Government officials had to flee some towns after being accused of harboring blood-sucking agents. The vampire is not just a metaphor. In some parts of the world, it is a death sentence. So throughout history, governments have tried and failed to control vampire panics. In 1755, Maria Theresa of Austria issued a formal ban on grave exhumations and unauthorized mutilation of the corpse. Despite this, reports of vampire attacks continued throughout the empire. Her son, Emperor Joseph II, went further, instituting reforms that reduced burial times and forced deeper graves. In Poland, Slovakia, and Croatia, local ordinances forbade anti-vampire rituals without church approval. This included staking, decapitation, incineration, mouth sewing, salt packing, and nailing corpses to the ground. But fear doesn't care about bureaucracy. When someone's child dies suddenly, and when their neighbor dies, and then their spouse coughs up blood at night, people don't wait for permission, they act. So now science tries to catch up. So by the 19th century, medical explanations for vampirism began to emerge. Tuberculosis was often mistaken for vampirism. Victims lost weight rapidly, coughed blood, and seemed to waste away. When multiple family members got sick, it looked like something was spreading through the household, something sinister and invisible. Porphyria is a rare blood disorder, causes light sensitivity, receding gums, reddish teeth. Some modern commenters have speculated that ancient sufferers were mistaken for vampires, though this theory is debated. So there's also catalepsy, a condition that causes temporary paralysis and lowered vital signs, may have led to premature burials. People believed their loved ones were dead, only to find signs that they had clawed at the inside of their coffin. This gave rise to stories of the dead trying to escape when in truth they had never died. Which is interesting. We all know the figure of speech Saved by the Bell. There's actually a patent. Let me see if I can find the picture of it. There's actually a patent for, and it was one of the earliest patents in 1868. Check this out. People were so afraid of being buried alive that this patent was filed in 1868 that had a pull cord and a bell above the grave where the nighttime caretaker at the cemetery, if he were to hear a bell, he would bring people and he would dig up the person that you thought was really dead but was secretly alive. This is where this figure of speech Saved by the Bell comes from, because as silly as this sounds, it did save one person. One. Just one. And he was literally saved by the bell. I think it also has to do with the figure of speech by the dead ringer. I'm not sure. I could be wrong on that one, but Saved by the Bell for sure. And this is where it comes from. People were afraid of being buried alive. This actually happened. This was a real thing, as crazy as it sounds. This was patent number 81437, so 81,437 patents. A very, very old patent. Absolutely wild. Absolutely wild. So by the 19th century, medical explanations for vampirism began to emerge. Wait, we've already covered this. What happened? Today, most people see vampires as fiction, but belief in vampirism, real or spiritual, has not vanished. In 2011, a Texas man named Lyle Monroe Bensley was arrested after breaking into a woman's apartment, biting her neck and screaming that he was a 500-year-old vampire who needed to feed. In Florida, a man named Josephine. Well, now we know why he's upset. Just saying. Josephine Smith attacked an elderly homeless man in 2011, biting chunks from his face while yelling, "I am a vampire and I'm going to eat you." In New Orleans, of course New Orleans was going to come up, a city steeped in vampiric lore, active vampire subcultures exist today. Some self-identify as sanguinarians who consume blood consensually from donors. Others identify as psychic vampires who claim to feed on spiritual or emotional energy. They're an organized group with rules, ethics, and private rituals. They are not delusional, they are not joking, and they are not hiding. But there's a darker edge too. And in 1996, Rod Farrell, a self-proclaimed vampire and cult leader from Kentucky, led a group of teens to Florida where they murdered a couple in cold blood. Rod believed himself to be a 500-year-old vampire named Visago. He was 16. So what causes a vampire panic? Is it disease, isolation, trauma, mass hysteria, or is it something older? There's a consistency to these reports, a pattern that transcends geography. A family falls ill. One by one, members weaken and die. Locals blame a dead relative. The grave is disturbed. The body is unnaturally preserved. A ritual is performed. Heart removal, burning, drinking the ashes. The death stops. Coincidence, perhaps? But sometimes these rituals come with a warning. If you don't do this, it will come for you next. And sometimes that's all it takes. Archaeologists today are still uncovering evidence of vampiric panic. In Poland, graves have been discovered with sickles placed across the throat, or pelvis designed to trap the undead if they arose. Some bodies were buried face down, others with bricks in their mouths. In Italy, in the 16th century, a female skeleton was found with a large stone forced into her mouth, believed to be from an anti-vampire protection. In Bulgaria, archaeologists found corpses with iron rods through their chests and decapitated skulls, a sign the locals believed they were vampires. And in England, a 1,000-year-old skeleton was unearthed with its legs broken and rearranged, possibly to prevent it from walking. The deeper we dig, the more we find. So what are we really afraid of? Every vampire panic follows grief, illness, suffering, a need to blame something, anything, for the pain. But it also suggests a chilling possibility. Maybe they were right. Maybe the ritual did stop something. Maybe the dead did walk. Maybe they still do. And maybe our fear of vampires has less to do with superstition and more to do with the suspicion that death might not be the end. That something waits in the grave, that it can follow us home, that it remembers who it loved and who it hated, that it can choose to come back, and when it does, it knocks once. Even though that audio clip was like 7 knocks. You see my point. Which that brings us to the end of Act 2. Oof. These are long, folks. I told you. I need to peel away for just a second. I gotta use the bathroom. So I've been drinking these beverages. And when we come back, we're gonna dive into Act 3. So don't go anywhere. I gotta use the bathroom. Hold, please. Your call is important to us. Oh, I've returned. I bet y'all missed me. I bet you did. I bet you did. It's okay if you didn't. It's not gonna hurt my feelings. You
Welcome back.
gotta have feelings to get them hurt. Thank you so much. Just need to check right quick. Up. Okay, cool. Yay! I'm back. I've returned. Ugh. The puppy watched me pee. It was weird. But I guess I watch him pee, so turnabout's fair play. So we've come to Act 3. Act motherfucking 3. Well, I'm trying to like ballpark ideas what we've been talking about so far, and there is so much content that we've just dug through. It really, really is a lot of information. We've already an hour 15, and we've only covered 3 of the 5 acts. We'll probably just push through and do all 5 tonight. I'm reading a little faster than normal, so I think we'll just push through and do all 38 pages. Hopefully it's not too long-winded. If you see me just throw my hands up, you know what's going on, that I just decided is probably too much. But we'll see what happens. Oh, geez. Yeah. I think we could crack another one of these guys. See if we can have some fun. Kind of had a shitty day. Not gonna lie. Homeboy messaged me. He's like, "Hey man, let's play some video games." I'm like, "Cool." I hop on. He's in the middle of a game. I was like, "I'll just wait." And then he started another game, and then another game, and then another game, and then I was playing by myself, and he got in there. He was like, "Hey, come and play." I was like, "Well, I gotta go now because it's podcast prepping time. Because it takes about an hour to get everything set up." And I was bummed because I really enjoy playing video games with my homie. But, you know, it happens. It's part of it. I really want to play Project Zomboid. It's killing me. I haven't touched Build 42 yet. I did sign up for the unstable stuff to get access to the unstable version of 42. And, God, it's killing me. I want to play.
Let me know, lol.
I want to play, but I don't want to play by myself because it sucks by yourself, right? I was just talking to them in Hef's Discord a couple days ago. I was like, geez, can we get multiplayer back already? Apparently, the developers are so sick of people asking about multiplayer that they're talking about.
I don't know if I have the unstable one.
I'm wondering if I should just roll back to 41. And I don't know. Some of the new stuff in 42 is pretty amazing. I'm not gonna lie. It's gonna be a blast once the full 42 release comes out. So looking forward to it. I ended up starting over on Valheim again. Have 600 something hours in Valheim, and I still have yet to get past the second boss because I just like to build shit. And I did it again. I played for like 4 hours today, and I was just building shit. That's it. You know I like to build shit. I'm the great Valheim builder.
I'd be down to get it. I just have to figure it out. They better not get rid of multi. Also, I'd play Valheim with you, lol.
I'll holler at you next time I play. I might play a little bit tonight. I don't know. Depends on what I got to do after the
Lol
podcast.
ADS.
Oh, jeez. Ads. Ads are the worst. What about you, Blip? Do you play any big games? Curious. That's something that we haven't talked about. Very avid gamer over here. I do a lot of it. Got a good, strong community of people that I've known for a good number of years that we play a lot of games. Yeah, we used to, but kind of growing apart a little bit, but yeah, it's fine. Used to stream video games before I did the podcast.
I do, yes. All sorts.
Awesome. Fantastic. I'd gather you're on Steam. We should game sometime. I'm totally down to game. I play everything. Indie stuff. I play Call of Duty, all that other stuff. I play everything, man. I play a little bit of everything. I play a lot of Valheim. A lot. I like building. I really, really like building. Oh my gosh, I love building. 600 plus hours in Valheim, and I'm yet to finish the storyline. And they've added on 3 or 4 new areas, and I just haven't even made it that. Because I just like building shit. I'm the guy that stays back and builds the fort for everybody while everybody runs out and does missions, and then I just keep building when they get back. I got no shame about it. Every group's got one. I'm the builder. I enjoy it. It's funsies. Of course you're a gamer, right? You're on Twitch. Yeah. Many, many years ago, I was a competitive Overwatch player. It's a different life. Overwatch changed, sadly. I wonder, do I still got it? I just saw it the other day. I thought I hung it up. I might have boxed it up. I got a bronze medal for my region when I used to live down south in the U.S. I did a competition with Overwatch, and I made 3rd place in the region, and I got a bronze Overwatch medal for doing the competition. Yeah, it was a long, long time ago. Then Overwatch 2 happened, and it just killed it. Oh, poor Overwatch 2. Yeah, it's...
Okay, back.
Welcome back. I'm ranting about Overwatch. My long-lost love. I'm sorry, it is gone. Not quite the game it used to be. Sadly, sadly, sadly.
Pause.
Yeah. I did come across... So there's a cool little local store here. I don't know if they got them around your area, Shark, or not. Called Ollie's. They sell, like, overstock shit or stuff that's gone out of date or old stuff that's just not selling. They'll sell in bulk to the store, and you can go and get, like, books and shit for real cheap. And... Oh, I'm about to sneeze.
I'm playing a great indie stealth game called Desperados 3 at.
Excuse me. I'm really glad for that mute button. Desperados 3. What is that? Why does that sound familiar?
Bless you.
Thank you kindly. Oh, yeah. Oh, I see. Isometric. All right. Cool, cool, cool. I grew up in the, I grew up on Diablo. Check this out. Found this when I was cleaning the office. That'll take you. That'll take you back. And I've also got all the expansions for this. Oh, geez, Diablo 2. It really just changed me to the core. Oh my gosh! Don't get me started on video games. Yeah, Diablo 2. That was my go-to. Yeah, so this actually looks like Diablo, like the old Diablo. I love this. This is cool. I might check this out.
It's like Commandos, if you remember that one.
I do. Yeah. Yeah, I'm a sucker for these isometric games. Something about it. I don't know what it does. It just scratches the itch. Let me check. I might have it. Let me check Steam real quick. My face is very red. Oh. No, I don't have it. Oh, $4 right now. Wow. Wow. It's got good reviews. Holy nuts. Ends in 18 hours. I may have to grab that for only $4. Marked down from 40. Shoot, add that to cart. All right, I'm getting off track. Y'all got me in video games. Sorry, if I'm not podcasting, I'm video gaming. That's it. My life revolves around video games. All right, well, so let's dive into Act 3. Act motherfucking 3. What is this? I got an email about something. Oh, cool. Twitch has already banned that guy who was spamming the channel earlier. Good job, Twitch. They said, what's your description of your issue? I said, this guy spammed my channel. It's obviously a bot. Ban him, please. And apparently they did. Good job, Twitch. Let's go. Act 3. We're going to talk about vampires in modern times. Let's go. Modern vampires aren't always about monsters with fangs. Sometimes they're about people who believe they are vampires, and sometimes, just sometimes, they act on it. So as we talked about earlier, in 1996, a 16-year-old named Rod Farrell led a small group of teenagers from Murray, Kentucky. They called themselves a vampire clan, completed with rituals, symbols, and bloodletting. Rod believed he was a 500-year-old vampire named Visago, claiming to have been turned by a friend in their role-playing circle. When the group traveled to Florida, Rob bludgeoned the parent of one of his followers to death with a crowbar. Kudos on the class. Using the crowbar. I'm a big fan of Half-Life, so yeah, I'll take that. That's a win. Bludgeoned the follower's parent with a crowbar. He showed no remorse. He said he did it to free her. He said he was already dead. Rod Farrell was sentenced to death, later commuted to life in prison. His case became a national news icon, and to this day, it remains one of the most well-known examples of vampire belief turning deadly. But it wasn't the only one. So I wonder, let me copy this guy's name. Let's look this guy up. I want to look him up. Don't you play that audio? I don't want to see. Let's see. Yeah, go look at what I'm doing. All right. There he is. Look like a vampire to you, a 500-year-old vampire. Florida's youngest death row. So let's try Florida, DOC. Let's look this guy all the way up. Offender search. Yep. Yeah, we're getting deep. Really? So we get... we don't have his number. Womp womp. Oh well. So where is he today? In 2020 response to a 2019 appeal, the judge found Rod Farrell irreparably corrupt and referred to the crimes as, quote, among the most appalling. I know nothing I say or do can bring them back, Rod Farrell testified at the hearing. I hope you know just how truly sorry I am. Doesn't sound like a vampire to me. He continues to serve life at the Central Florida Reception Center in Orlando, Florida, according to records at the Department of Corrections. Yeah, it doesn't look like a 500-year-old vampire to me. Sorry, but I don't think they age, right? Isn't that the thing? You don't age? A little silly. But it wasn't the only one. In Texas 2011, police arrested Lyle Monroe Bensley, a 19-year-old who had broke into a woman's apartment, pinned her down, bit her neck, and screamed that he was a vampire who needed to feed. In California 2012, Josephine Smith, the guy with the girl's name, attacked an elderly homeless man, biting off chunks of his face and yelling, "I'm a vampire and I'm going to eat you!" These aren't people wearing plastic fangs for attention, they're people who believed. Some blamed mental illness, others claimed drug-induced psychosis, but behind every explanation is a chilling truth. The vampire identity has become more than myth. For some, it's a framework, a reason to kill, or at least a reason to feel powerful in a world that ignores them. But not all vampires in the modern time are violent. In fact, most aren't. There are thousands of self-identified vampires around the world, and they organize in online forums, real-life houses, and in private groups, some with rules, ethics, and even medical protocols. The two major types are sanguinarians. Sanguinarians. These are individuals who consume human blood, often drawing from willing donors. The blood is typically extracted via lancets or small cuts, never via biting. They claim it helps with fatigue, spiritual balance, or personal energy. These vampires emphasize safety, blood tests for STDs, sterilized equipment, consent contracts. They don't claim to be immortal, they're not delusional. They simply say they need blood to feel whole. Some compare it to a nutritional supplement, while others call it a spiritual nourishment. Sanguinarians exist in cities like New Orleans, Atlanta, Los Angeles, and Berlin. They rarely seek publicity, but when they do, they often face ridicule or moral panic. And then we come to psychic vampires, also known as psi-vamps. These individuals claim to feed on energy, not on blood. They believe they absorb emotional or spiritual or life force energy from others through proximity or intent. Some report feeling physically ill without regular feeding. Others describe it as a meditation process, not predatory at all. They meet in metaphysical groups, Discord servers, and even in-person conventions. So why would somebody call themselves a vampire in the 21st century? For some, it's a coping mechanism, a way to explain chronic fatigue, disconnection, or trauma. For others, it's an aesthetic lifestyle, embracing gothic fashion, nocturnal habits, and a love for the macabre. And for a few, it's spiritual. Author and vampire researcher Michelle Bellinger, a prominent figure in the vampire community, has written extensively about psychic vampires. She describes vampirism as a form of spiritual ecology, where the vampire acts as an energy recycler, absorbing negativity and restoring balance. Some vampiric groups even have ethical codes, pledging never to feed non-consensually and never to harm. They consider it a sacred responsibility, not a trend. And in these spaces, vampirism isn't fantasy, it's self-definition. But can somebody physically need blood? While mainstream medicine doesn't recognize vampirism as a legitimate condition, there are medical theories that might explain some behaviors. Porphyria, a group of rare blood disorders, can cause symptoms worsened by sunlight and require blood-related treatments. Iron deficiencies or anemia might cause people to crave red meat or even blood. And Renfield syndrome, great name by the way, Renfield was the familiar to Dracula. Renfield syndrome, an unofficial term inspired by Dracula's character, refers to a psychosexual compulsion to consume blood, but it's not recognized in the DSM. More commonly, these cravings may be psychological, linked to trauma, identity confusion, or attempts to regain control through ritual. There's also the possibility of autosuggestion. If someone believes strongly enough that they are a vampire, they may experience physical relief from feeding. Placebo is power. But that doesn't make the experience less real. In 2006, Dr. David Dolphin proposed that porphyria might be the root of vampire myths, noting that garlic exacerbates symptoms and sunlight causes painful reactions. The theory made headlines, but many scientists dismissed it as oversimplified. But still, the questions linger. Could early vampire legends have been misinterpreted as medical conditions? Were burial anomalies really signs of decay, or was it something more unnatural at play? And why do vampire rules appear more consistently across cultures? These questions have no easy answers, but science hasn't disproved that the existence of psychic or spiritual vampirism either. It simply lacks the tools or the will to investigate something so intangible. Hold, please. If you think vampires are old news, check the streaming charts. From Interview with the Vampires to True Blood, Twilight, Vampire Diaries, Castlevania, and beyond, vampires are everywhere. Each generation repackages them as lovers, as monsters, as metaphors for addiction, sexuality, class struggle, or disease. But what makes vampires so addictive to us? Because they are incomplete. They look human, but they've lost something. A reflection, a heartbeat, a soul. They are eternal, but never satisfied. Vampires are us, filtered through the fear of time and death. They are hunger personified. And even in places untouched by pop culture, vampire stories continue to surface. In Zimbabwe, elders speak of the Nagalave. Nagalave. There we go. Nagalave. A creature that drains people's blood during sleep. And in Haiti, tales of Lupus Gurus, which is a spin-off of the Loup-garou, mix vampirism and shape-shifting. In India, legends of the Churel describe female spirits who drain life from men through sex and touch, not unlike the incubus. No, succubus. Succubus? Wait. Yeah, it's the succubus. Yeah. Not just door. Yeah. The succubus is the female form, and the incubus is the male form, right?
Incubus and succubus, or incubi and succubi.
I was just listening to Incubus this morning. That's the only reason I said Incubus. Yeah, Diablo, the succubus.
Also, imagine a vampire being bit by the Lone Star Tick.
Facts. These are not just stories, these are warnings. And they don't fade with time, they evolve. Online forums like vampireforum.net and private Facebook groups host thousands of active users discussing real vampiric experiences. Some exchange bloodletting tips, others share feeding meditations. The vampire hasn't died, it just moved to the comment section. So now I'm curious, let's pull up vampireforum.net. I want to see. Show me. Bad data. Womp womp. It looks like on September 8th, this page was brought down. My store? Wait, no, this is actually somebody's page. Wait. My store? Wait, what is your store? Let's see. Oh, okay. Blog? About? Events? Shop? Pet? Oh, okay. This is it. Vampireforum.net. Ooh, so full of spook. Yeah, this is super spooky. I feel so deep into the vampire lores. Oh. So let's just look. Real vampire forums. Just gonna go to the first one. Oh, okay, wow. We got an old school layout here. Okay, what are we looking for here? Posers, multimedia. Talk about anything here. Let's see. Don't get me banned here. Don't give me something crazy. Philosophy. Whoa. Okay, that's a lot of data taking. Gonna wait this. It's just for you. So this reminds me, Shark, of Hef's old page. This is exactly what his website used to look like. I know his old name, and it's funny. But you know, this is what it used to look like. I'm just the moderator for the general board said, "Moderator Steve, looking for someone willing to turn me into a vampire. I'm serious about wanting to be a vampire before I die as a human, trying to move to the next level possible as a god. I don't want to be reincarnated."
Such a vampiric name, Steve.
Right? This guy says, I'm trying to move to the next level possible as a god. I don't want to be reincarnated again. Getting tired of it. Yeah, buddy. I think you're in the wrong place. Can we thumb through the old topics? I'm just curious. My struggle with humanity. I'm not trying to make fun of people here, but this is funny. Hello, this is my first public appearance. I've kept the truth about myself quiet. Hi there, I'm glad I found this website. I feel the same way. Are vampires real? I want a serious answer now. I really want to know. May I ask how you got this forum? Are vampires real? What do you think? Yes, they are real. I find it interesting how people will sometimes ask a question but only want to hear what they think is the truth. Not that I haven't done the same, but just interesting, no? I find it kind of weird that people do stuff like that. If they only want to hear their own opinion on the matter, then why ask at all? This whole conversation seems pointless to me, but I can't help but ask myself why I clicked on this particular thread. I tend to avoid the threads older than 2017. He says, I want immortality, or I want to become a vampire. Tell me how, please. I need serious answers. This is October 16th of 2017. People are weird. Like I got any room to talk. Alright, I'm done with that. I'm done with that. People are weird. I'm not knocking it. I'm just saying. What a weird conversation. So the vampire scene overlaps with roleplay culture, LARP, goth, fetish, and occult communities that all intersect in complex ways. But not everyone playing the part is pretending. Some draw a hard line. They say things like, I just like the aesthetic. Or, I believe I have a vampiric soul. Or, I drink blood to survive. Outside observers often dismiss the entire subculture as performative, but dismissing it misses the point. Vampirism, for some, is how they reclaim power in a world that has made them feel weak, sick, or invisible. For others, it's the only framework that explains their internal reality. In that sense, the vampire myth isn't just enduring, it's transformative. So let's not pretend. There are still people out there who kill in the name of vampirism, and there are still people who believe they need blood. There are still people who feel like they are not fully alive unless they're feeding on something. Whether it's a drop of blood, a flash of energy, or a fear in someone else's eyes. And there are those who swear they've even seen something in the dark. Eyes that don't reflect light. A figure that disappears the moment it's seen. A stranger who knows your name and never blinks. Call them role players, call them disturbed, call them metaphors. But remember, even now, people are still locking their windows, placing garlic above their doors, and waking up with puncture marks they can't explain. Are they lying? Or do they know something that we've forgotten? Facts. So I can remember as a kid, I grew up in a suburb of Detroit. And my family lived, my dad's side of the family lived in a neighborhood that was predominantly Polish. If you know anything about Michigan, you know there's a huge Polish community. And I know what you're thinking. Polish community, what does that got to do with anything? I'm just going to say right off the bat, if you haven't had a real Polish pierogi, you haven't lived. Truth. Absolute truth. I eat pierogies to this day because of my upbringing in Detroit. I love pierogi. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. You haven't had good food until you had Polish food. But I'm going to say, heavy on the garlic. And I thought it was weird at first. Until I went to a friend of mine's house. I went to his house, so he was the first of my friends in middle school to have a computer. And, you know, at the time, Shark, Hef, and I were friends at the time. This was before Hef had a computer. I had a friend of mine. I'm not going to drop his name here because he does follow this podcast. We went to his house, and he was the first, like I said, he was the first friend with the computer. So I was like, hey, we need to burn some CDs. So he got a CD burner. We're burning CDs, staying up all night, drinking Coca-Cola, doing a thing we did in the 90s. You know how it is. I'm just saying. You know, the 90s were a different time, all right? And I remember one time I was over at his house, we spent the night sitting up all night, surfing the internet, listening to bare naked ladies, being cool dudes in the 90s, right? Drinking Surge all night. That's not a joke. It's what we used to do. And I remember his grandmother came over. And I remember her talking in a language I didn't understand. And I didn't know what was going on, but she was clearly upset about something. And she stormed out, went to her car, came back, and she had like a wreath made of garlic. And she hung it over the back door. But it was like dry garlic. It was obviously old. And it had like a little piece of wood on it that had some words carved in it. I couldn't tell you what it said to this day. I just don't remember. I just remember I couldn't read it. And, you know, my friend told me, he's like, hey, that's Polish. It's a protection thing to keep us safe. And she gets mad every time that we take it down. So, that's the magic word. Let me take a drink. Say what you will about modern folklore, for the lack of a better word, surrounding vampirism. I've seen it. Clear as day. And I remember every time I would come over, it, you know, as soon as I walk in dude's back door, I would look up and look above the door, and I would see that wreath made of garlic. I mean, full cloves of garlic, and I never understood what it was for until I was much, much, much older. And I was like, this old woman is afraid of vampires, right? I mean, we lived so close to Detroit that crime was an issue, which made me think that she believed that the crime in my neighborhood growing up had some ties to vampires. Or maybe it's just a culture thing that she brought from Poland. I don't know. It's just things like that make you wonder, you know, is this just like an underground scene? Is this really just a thing? Or is this have some root? Is there actually something that we aren't really getting? Which brings us up to Act 4. We're going to rip through Act 4 as quick as we can. We're going to rip through it so we can get to Act 5, be done with it. We're already 10 minutes within our 2-hour range. I try to keep it within 2 hours. A lot of people don't watch past 30 minutes. And, you know, I'm glad Blip, you and Shark are here. Glad you're here. You guys are amazing. Keep on being amazing.
I have to go at 6 p.m. X.
Oh, no.
10.
Oh, no. 6. Oh, that's right. You're the time zone over.
Less than 3.
It's all good. I appreciate you being here tonight. I really do. We're going to roll on to Act 4. Act 4, everybody. Act 4. So now we're going to touch on to where the folklore becomes high strangeness. So let's start in Highgate Cemetery in London. In the late 1960s, this overgrown necropolis became the center of one of the most bizarre vampire flaps in modern history. Multiple witnesses began reporting strange figures, a tall man in a cloak with glowing red eyes, a shadowy presence that floated above graves, animals found dead or drained of blood. Teenagers who broke into the cemetery for occult rituals claimed to have seen someone watching them. Others spoke of suffocating psychic pressure in certain parts of the graveyard. One woman said she was frozen by a tall figure that vanished when a car passed. The local press got involved, coining the term the Highgate Vampire. Then came David Farrant and Sean Manchester, two rival paranormal investigators who each claimed to be hot on a vampire's trail. Manchester declared the entity as, quote, King Vampire of Roman origin, brought to England in the 18th century. Farrant, more of a spiritualist, argued the figure was more of an energy-based entity, not undead, but something far older. Both men conducted public rituals. Ferrant was arrested with a crucifix, stake, and garlic. Manchester claimed to have exorcised a vampire, even staked and burned it in a secret ceremony, though no evidence was ever shown. But the sightings didn't stop. Visitors to Highgate still report shadowy figures moving between the headstones, sudden temperature drops, and paralysis, nausea, and an inexplicable dread. Not confined to body, no explanation, or no confirmed body, no explanation, just persistent myth that refuses to die. Was it a hoax? Was it mass hysteria? Or something real? Something that didn't care whether you believed it. And some entities don't drink blood, they drain life force. Reports of energy vampires appear in cultures around the world. Victims describe sudden fatigue after seeing a particular person or entity. Sleep paralysis experiences even involving a figure draining energy from the chest, feeling hollowed out after dreams or encounters with shadowy beings. In paranormal terms, these creatures are something called thought forms, tulpas, or astral parasites. They attach themselves to people during moments of emotional trauma or spiritual weakness, feeding invisibly and persistently. Psychic vampires appear in occult literature, spiritual movements, and modern esoteric circles. They're often described as humanoid but lacking defining features, almost archetypal, like a silhouette given form by your fear. But some say they show up in mirrors. Others feel them when waking up in a cold sweat, unable to breathe as something presses down on their chest. This overlaps with folklore creatures like the Alp in Germany, the Mara in Scandinavia, and the Pisadara in Brazil. Each of them rides the chest during sleep, feeding off of breath or fear. Are these just sleep paralysis visions, or have we always sensed the same invisible predator? Here's where things get even stranger. And when I say stranger, I mean stranger. And when I say stranger, I mean like aliens. Yeah. Get ready for this one. Some researchers have drawn connections between vampiric folklore and alien abduction phenomena. Loss of time, wounds with no clear origin, energy depletion, no memory of how you got from one place to another, a figure appearing in your room at night with glowing eyes. John Keel, the author of the Mothman prophecies, believed these were all manifestations of the same phenomena. He didn't think aliens, vampires, or ghosts were separate. They were different masks worn by ultra-terrestrials, entities that interact with us through fear, belief, and emotion. One 1980s case come from New Mexico involved a man who claimed a, quote, tall, thin woman in black with no eyes and no reflection appeared in his bedroom and bit his shoulder. He said it felt like she drained part of his soul. His physical health declined for weeks. Doctors found nothing wrong. Another man in Brazil reported waking up with puncture marks on his neck, missing an hour of time and feeling utterly emptied. Hypnotherapy revealed a being with long limbs and a pale face but no ears or nose. Are these abductions? Or is there something ancient wearing a new skin? There's a disturbing theory that vampires might not be physical at all, at least not originally. In occult circles, a tulpa is a thought form, a being created through intense focus or belief. Once imagined strongly enough, it takes on a kind of semi-independent existence. Some paranormal researchers suggest that the vampire may be a tulpa, a collective thought birthed by centuries of storytelling, ritual fear, and repetition. In this theory, vampire panics aren't irrational, they're psychic outbreaks. Grave exhumations weren't just superstition, they were ritual neuralizations. And vampires aren't supernatural, they're psychosomatic parasites. Like a virus in the collective unconscious, feeding on belief. The more we fear them, the more we talk about them, the more real they become. And this isn't fiction. The Soviet-era intelligence agencies, CIA, both believed thought-formed experiments during the Cold War under psychic warfare programs. What if we created something we can't control? What if it's still here? In recent decades, shadow people sightings have skyrocketed. They are described as human-shaped shadows darker than darkness, often seen standing in doorways or hovering near beds, often associated with dread, nausea, or a sense of suffocation, and then disappear when directly confronted. Some shadow people are neutral, but others reported to be feed on fear. Victims say they wake up exhausted, even sick. Some feel like part of them was taken. But these aren't full-bodied vampires. They seem to share traits: human mimicry, energy drainage, no reflection, no voice. In one theory, shadow people are energy vampires, a modern interpretation of an old terror. Another theory, they're scouts, harbingers. They come before the thing that feeds. I see it's about time for you to go, Shark. Thanks for coming in tonight. Hey, I'll be here. Message me anytime. You know the deal. Holla at your boy. The deeper you go into high strangeness, the more the rules of folklore begin to break down. Many vampire myths claim they must be invited in, they fear crosses or garlic, and they cannot enter holy ground. But in modern cases, these protections don't always work. Victims report vampiric entities entering their homes uninvited. No reaction to religious symbols, activity in churches or graveyards, psychic attacks across distances, even online. This implies we're not dealing with a single species, being, or curse. We're looking at a category of a predator, one that wears a different mask depending on belief, era, and culture. Some drink blood, some drink energy, some drink fear itself. This is true. Which brings us to Act 5. I skimmed over a little bit. We've made it to Act 5. We're a little behind, but I'm running through it, folks. I'm running the night. Ooh, which one of these cans am I drinking from? We've made it to Act 5. Act 5, the vampire today, pop culture, subculture, and immortality. Act 5. In the last 100 years, no supernatural figure has enjoyed the kind of culture...
Jaden hasn't come back yet, so I'm still here.
Okay. Glad you're still here. I'm glad. And you get the lint liquor audio. Here you go.
Who are you calling a cootie queen, you lint liquor?
That's right. Don't clip that. Or do. I don't care. It's fine. In the last 100 years, no supernatural figure has enjoyed the kind of cultural dominance the vampire has. Since 1922, we pronounce the silent W's here. Since 1922's Nosferatu, the vampire has appeared in tens of thousands of films, books, shows, video games, and comics. The image is fluid. It mutates. Bela Lugosi's Dracula in 1931 gave us the Eastern European nobleman with hypnotic charm, which we have Bela Lugosi's Dracula in the opening sequence of the podcast. It's a classic. Christopher Lee's Dracula, 1958 to 1973, added eroticism and violence. Anne Rice's Vampires from 1976 to 2003 turned the vampire into a brooding philosopher, a gothic rock god trapped in his own decadence. Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Angel made vampires sexy, tragic, and humanized. True Blood gave us political allegory and southern fried sex. Twilight gave us high school abstinence metaphors with wrapped in glitter. Say what you want about Twilight, I guess. I mean, it was entertaining at the time. My little brother may or may not have a Twilight poster in his house. Yeah, well, different strokes for different folks. For every version that dies, another rises. The vampire reboots itself. It is death that adapts. The vampire is never just a monster, it's a symbol. And that symbol changes depending on who's telling the story. The vampire was a warning about sexual deviance, immorality, and the dangers of temptation. Female vampires represented fallen women. Male vampires were exotic invaders, coded expressions of xenophobia, disease, and vice. And in post-war America, vampires became metaphors for repression, addiction, and Cold War paranoia. They were outsiders, deviants, the ones who couldn't or wouldn't assimilate. And from the 90s to the 2000s, the vampires became a romantic anti-hero, tragic, cursed, and deep. It symbolizes otherness, the queer, the goth, the lonely. It wasn't scary, it was relatable. And today, the vampire can be anything. A billionaire CEO, a high school heartthrob, a villain, a victim, a sex symbol, a TikTok lifestyle. It has become a modular horror. Insert fear, press play. Outside fiction, the vampire lives on its subculture. The modern vampire scene thrives in cities like New Orleans, Berlin, Tokyo, and Los Angeles. And they aren't deluded LARPers, though many are. Sanguinarians, blood drinkers, psychic vampires, energy feeders, lifestylists. Those who adopt vampire aesthetic, fashion, and subculture. There are vampire nightclubs, conventions, covens, etiquette guides. Some identify spiritually with the archetype, others feel psychologically other. Many simply feel powerful, reclaiming control over bodies, identity, trauma, or sexuality in a world that constantly takes it away. Some embrace vampirism as gender expression or queer identity. The vampire is fluid, after all. Often immortal, often unbound by human norms. These aren't costumes, these are lives. And in many cases, they're hidden in plain sight. In the digital age, vampirism has gone virtual. Online, you'll find Discord servers for self-identified vampires, YouTube channels offering psychic shielding tips, TikTok trends of vampire core, fashion, or rituals, Reddit communities sharing real-life feeding experiences. There are blood donor matching services for consensual feeding, energy-draining support groups, and ethical codes for modern vampires. And then there's the vampire ASMR, vampire erotica, vampire live streamers, a whole digital ecosystem built around the archetype. Even AI-generated vampire personalities exist now. You can chat with one, date one, roleplay with one. It's 2025. Do what you want. The vampire in the internet age. Whoa! Thank you for the follow. Oh my gosh. Thank you for the follow. It's so loud in my headphones. Oh my gosh.
Hi, what's up? I found you on the perfect time because I am from Romania, lol.
Oh!
A recent vampire movie or whatever is Sinners. Anyways, I need to get going. Have a good rest of your stream. Where the vampire leggings came from, lol.
Hey, yeah. Sinners, go watch the movie. Just saying. I started watching it with my wife thinking it was going to be just a regular, like, 1940s bop, whatever. And it takes a little bit to get going, but once it gets going, oh my gosh. Wow, what a fantastic movie. Sinners, go check it out. It is stellar. Stellar. Fantastic movie. Fantastic movie. But yes, who is it? I'm gonna botch your name. Ayanutane. Io Nut Tunai. I'm not good with names. We need a pronunciation. Thank you for being here. I'm glad you're here. Thanks for the follow. You're amazing. And you're from Romania. What are the odds, right? Yeah, we really didn't touch too much on like Vlad or nothing tonight.
Ion means John, basically.
Okay, gotcha. Glad you're here. Welcome to Beyond the Shadows podcast. We cover all the weird shit. We're not a big podcast. We got no budget. I'm doing this from my house. We're just having fun. We're just dipping our toes into the paranormal and finding out what's going on, trying to decide what is really paranormal, what's not. I'm glad you're here. Glad you're
That's
here.
cool.
Welcome in. We'll gladly have you. Welcome in. Unfortunately, you've reached it right at the end. We're very near the end here. I've got like 3 pages of script left, but still very glad you're here. We go live at 5 p.m. every Sunday, Eastern Standard Time. So if you want to catch us live next week, also we're all over YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, what have you. We're everywhere. Our information is all over the screen. You'll find anything you need to know. I promise. I'm glad you're here. I'm really glad you're here. Thanks for the follow. I appreciate that. I work hard for this. This is a one-man production, and I'm glad you're here. I work hard. Thank you again. So let's pick back up. We're back into immortality and its longing. So why does a vampire remain so potent? Because it speaks to what we want most and what we fear most. To escape death. To stay young forever. To possess the power with no accountability. To be loved completely or feared absolutely. To break taboos and to live outside law of decay. But there's a cost. Vampires are always lonely, always cursed, always hungry. Always on the outside looking in. And immortality without meaning is its own kind of hell. The vampire is a warning. Be careful what you wish for. And we keep wishing. So strip away the fangs and the folklore, and what's left? Something deeply human. The vampire is about desire for blood, for love, for eternity, for control over others, over time, over your own decay, and about fear of dying, of being forgotten, of being devoured. It represents the person who won't go quietly, the souls that cling, the one who refuses to rot. In a way, the vampire is our collective scream that I'm still here. And that's why it lasts. Because it's not just about what lives forever, it's about what refuses to let go. So every attempt to kill the vampire, scientifically, morally, religiously, fails. It gets buried in literary trends and digs itself out. It gets replaced by zombies, witches, ghosts, and waits. It sleeps until the next plague, the next war, the next social collapse. Then it rises. A little different, a little more seductive, a little more terrifying. Because we bring it back every time. We need it. Now let's be honest. Vampires sell. They're a billion-dollar industry, and the capitalism of the vampire is part of its appeal. Want to be young forever? Here's a serum. Want to drink blood to stay fit? Here's a trend. Want to look powerful? Wear black leather, live at night, sell it on Instagram. We've turned the vampire into a brand of transgression, profitable, photogenic, and palatable. But somewhere beneath all the gloss, something still stirs, something older, hungrier, something that doesn't care about hashtags, right? So let's take a moment. What if some of the stories are true? What if hidden among the club kids in cosplay, the Instagrammers and energy healers, there are real vampires? The ones who never age, don't show up in pictures, and appear in your dreams before you meet them, and drain something more than just blood. Maybe they're ancient, maybe they're interdimensional, maybe they're spiritual parasites or time travelers or predators from behind the veil. Or maybe, just maybe, they're just better at hiding it now. Because we stopped looking. Which brings us to the end. But before we wrap it up, don't go anywhere. I've got to use the bathroom one more time. Sorry, I've been knocking these beers freaking back. 5 or 6, jeez. And these guys are strong. Give me just a minute to go use the restroom, and we're going to wrap this up in a nice, neat little bow. We're going to go over everything that we talked about tonight, and we're going to decide, are vampires real? You know, that's the crux of why you're here tonight. Are vampires real? We've gone through the research. We've heard the stories. We've heard the claims and tales. Let's decide. So don't go anywhere. I'll be right back. I gotta use the bathroom, and we're gonna wrap this up. Hold on.
Shay Yasu.
Oh, yeah, sorry about that. Sorry, yeah. Hey, thanks for being here. Thanks for coming in. Hopefully I'll see you next week. Sorry about that. I had to use the bathroom, friend. Have a good night. We're about to wrap it up any hoots. So, let's break it down. Vampires. Do we think they're real? Historically speaking, hard to say. It feels like initially, the idea of the vampire was brought on by the fact that people didn't understand how disease spread, viruses spread, right? Tuberculosis was the big thing. We didn't, back in the day, we didn't know what viruses were. And when one person died, they inadvertently spread the disease to the next person. I can see the confusion. I can see it. But let's look at the bare bones of this. There had to be something, right? There had to be something that kicked it all off. You know, folklore doesn't stem from nothing. Folklore stems from a truth, and it evolves over time. Which makes me wonder, is the idea of vampirism folklore? Or is it just a cultural excuse for what happens to people? We're dealing with two different, very polarized ideas here. The easy road would be to say, sure, we just didn't understand how viruses transferred from one person to the other, or we didn't understand how disease worked. However, what is the root of it? What is the first known case of vampires? So let's look at the evidence. They would dig up people that they assumed were vampires. And it appeared their teeth grew, their nails grew, their hair grew, blood in the mouth. They would open the chest cavity, there'd be blood. This is a natural part of decomposition. It's not the nails and teeth growing, it's not the hair growing. What it is it's the body drying up. And it makes the hair appear longer, the nails appear longer, the teeth appear longer. It's a natural part of decomposition. This is normal. But it makes me come back to the idea. What started it? Right? There had to be something. So like extraterrestrials. We're dealing with the idea, the concept of the Anunnaki. The very, very first ideas of the gods coming down from the heavens and giving knowledge to the people on Earth. This was the original concept of extraterrestrials. Through the lens of people who don't have the knowledge and understanding like we do today, what they saw was a god coming down, but in reality, it very could easily have been extraterrestrial. Right? So, what caused people originally, patient zero, to say, this person is coming up from the grave and draining the people from their family? I can see the symbolism behind it. The family member is getting sick. Somebody maybe seen somebody in the shadows. I get it. However, there's a root underlying issue here. But the crux of this concept is longevity. What keeps this story alive today? From way back, I think our first understanding of a vampire is from the 1500s. What keeps it alive for over 500 years and longer? Who's to say there's not a story from Mesopotamia about a blood-sucking god that was just misinterpreted? Anne Rice was onto something that maybe, just maybe, the ancient Egyptian gods were vampires. And in their periods of inactivity, they were sleeping. So this is a hard one. I have trouble really nailing it down. I really do. There's a lot of evidence to say it's just folklore. But then there's also a lot of evidence to say that this is sustained for hundreds of thousands of years as a concept that we understand as a vampire. How do you quantify that, right? I really have a lot of trouble really nailing this one down. And that's why I'm going to say vampires are real. And the big reason is the longevity. There's not too much to this day that lasts from thousands and thousands of years. So it's like, let's just use ancient Egyptians as an example. What made ancient Egyptian gods die off as an idea? Because the next idea came along and it seemed a little better. So we adapt, we change. And, then we move on to Greek gods. So why didn't the Greek gods persist? Oh, because the Christian god came along. Oh, well, that's the next best thing. We move on to the Christian god. But why did vampires persist? It makes me feel like there is something underlying. And it comes through today. As we talked about earlier, black-eyed children, BEK, like Flip said, who's to say that black-eyed kids aren't vampires? They follow the traditional rules. They can't come in unless invited. And once they're invited in, then all hell breaks loose. Who's to say that's wrong? Maybe, for all we know, black-eyed kids are the original vampire. I don't know. But based on the evidence that we talked about tonight, I feel like vampires are real. And if you are one of those vampires, comment on this video. Jeez, let us know. Let us know all about it. I will deep dive. I am really good at researching people's backgrounds. I will deep dive you and I will find out every little bit of information about you. Comment! Let me know that you're a real vampire and I will deep dive your ass. Ooh, I will do it. I will do it. Let me know that I'm right. But I truly believe that vampires are real. I truly believe in psychic vampires especially, because there are some people that, when I'm just around them, they drain the hell out of me. Been like that for many, many years. Blip, tell me what you think. I want to know what you think about vampires. Tell me what your idea is. I love this concept. I love the story behind it. It goes back so many hundreds of thousands of years. Vampires are real, folks. And like we said towards the end, maybe they're just getting better at hiding themselves now. So let's think about, like, this popped in my head earlier. From the 90s to early 2000s, we had cameras that dealt with mirror lenses. So the image would come in, it would hit a mirror, hit another mirror, and then it would project onto the film in a camera. Maybe that's why the die-out in the 80s, 90s, early 2000s, and then once we moved to digital photography, now we're seeing them because we're using mirrorless photography technology. The concept that vampires can't see their own reflection because they have no soul. No mirrors in the camera means that we can take pictures of them today. So now that they've integrated themselves, I don't know. Prove me wrong. Comment. Somebody say something. But that's where I am today. And I think after all of this, Jesus.
I think I'm gonna have to binge watch Buffy again.
Yeah. Buffy wasn't bad. I wasn't like obsessed with it like some folks were, but pretty good. Lots of eye candy. Just saying. I like me some eye candy. This is by far the largest script I've ever had to read. 35 pages. Woof. I really didn't think we were going to get done with that tonight. Next week we are going to cover the... Oh, geez, my notes are terrible. The English translation is The Slit Mouth Woman. It's Japanese folklore. We're going to cover that next week. Yeah, it's going to be real good. That's a shark request. We're going to cover that. And a week after that, we're going to cover zombies. Let me make sure I write that down. I don't want to forget, because like we're hitting broad strokes now, but they're so interesting. I will. Oh my gosh! If you're a zombie fanatic, get ready for the zombie episode, because I am a fanatic. A freaking fanatic. You get ready for this mess. Ooh-wee. Yeah. Alright, well, we're going to wrap this up. Before we do, let's see if we've got anybody that we can raid. Oh, Hef. Oh, Hefner is streaming. We're going to raid Hef. Hef's my guy. We go way back. We've known each other since middle school. 30 years we've known each other. Oh, it's my guy. Yeah. We're going to raid him. We're going to raid him. Blip, stick around. You might like Hef's stream. He's a hardcore gamer. Hardcore gamer. He's the guy that got me into streaming. He's my buddy, my natural. We go way back. Way back. But before we go, I do have a little bit more to say. We've got a closing monologue, and we're going to wrap it up with our little closing trailer. So, well, I'm not going to crack a beer because I said it one time. In the end, vampires endure because we do. They change because we change. They feed on our fears. They reflect on our darkness. They seduce us with what we cannot have forever.
I am sleeping when you're done. I have work in the morning as well.
All right, man. I appreciate you being here tonight. It's all good. Do what you gotta do. I appreciate you being here tonight, man. Thanks for popping in. I'll see you next week. Ooh, let's do the voice changer. They are death in slow motion. They are desire with no limits. They are us. If we stop caring. And every time the world breaks down, every time things fall apart, every time people die too soon, and no one has answers, the vampire rises, silent, smiling, hungry. So if you find yourself in the middle of the night, a knock on the door, a stranger you don't recognize at the door, smiling, unblinking, don't let him in, because you don't know who he really is. Guard yourself. Protect yourself. Garlic over the door. Crucifixes on the wall. But whatever you do, make sure you follow us. Beyond the shadows. Good night, everyone. See y'all next week.
A creature like that, I wouldn't ever die.
And this monster starts running right at me.
Annihilated by nuclear bombs.
Beast is not dead. I put 4 bullets into him.
Why, you're crazy.
But I saw that monster too. All I want is for someone to believe me.
Contaminated.
Face. Horrible. Looked like it would scare you to death.
All right, let's get to work.
Feel the shadows.